We are making great progress in our test project. Up next, I want to focus on the front end just a little bit. We are pulling in Bootstrap, but we aren't quite using it the right way. So I want to take a couple of minutes to refactor some of our views. Starting with this form. I know that this form can look a lot better with Bootstrap, so let's take care of that now. Let's pull up the customers.blade and let's start with this form. So we added a p tag for name, but the proper way of doing this is to actually have a label. So we'll add a label for name and we'll just say name, and let's add a label for email, and we'll also call this email. And then input group is not the right class for that, it's actually form group. So we'll wrap both of those in form group, and let's give our inputs a class of form control. That's what it needs. This is all basic Bootstrap stuff. Let's check our progress. Okay, so that's looking good. It looks like we have 2 duplicate emails here. Yep, let's get rid of that. And now let's give our button a class of button and then button primary. That gives it a nice blue color. There we go. So that's looking much better. Eventually I may separate the form section from our listing, but for now, just to create some separation, I'm going to put a horizontal rule. There we go, and now we have too much padding. Let's get rid of this padding right here. There we go, a little better. So now we need to wrap each of these sections in a row and a column. So we'll say row, column 12, and let's paste that in. Let's do the same for our form. A row, column 12, and then finally let's do it for our list. We'll cut that out, row, column 12, paste that in, and we shouldn't see any changes here. Okay, that's looking better. The next section I want to focus on is our navigation. So right now our navigation is basically bumping up all the way to the left, but I want to move it so that it's actually in line with our pages. So let's go to our layout file, and here's the issue. We put it outside of here, but it should really be inside our container. And once we do that, there we go. It bumps it in, but it's still a little cluttered. Let's add a little bit of padding to the top and bottom. So we'll say PY3. That puts it in top and bottom. There we go. That's looking much better. So now we can navigate through all of our pages, and that's looking good. Up next, I actually want to extract this section here of navigation into its own file. Now there are several reasons to do this. For one, I do want to show you how to extract a section and have a partial. And two, I think navigation should really be in its own file. And I'll show you why at the end. So I'm going to cut this out, and let's create a new file here called nav.blade.php, and I'm just going to paste that in. And now how do we include that file? Well, we use that keyword include. So at include, and we're going to include the navigation. That's it. It's as simple as that. If we go back here and refresh our pages, we get the exact same thing. So what is the benefit of extracting something like our navigation? So if we pull up our quick file lookup, and just about every editor will have some sort of quick file lookup, we can type in nav and quickly go to our navigation. This is integral through the life of a project, especially as it gets bigger. Having these small refactors where you extract partials helps to navigate through the project. And definitely get used to navigate through your project without opening the folders. For demonstration purposes, I am leaving this open here, but at the end of the day, typically I don't navigate through my project by searching for the files here. I just do a quick search and maybe jump over to our layout file, and there it is. If I want to jump to my customers controller, there it is. Very quickly I can get from file to file. Now that we have this partial, I will go back to my layout because I want to show you one more thing about the include directive. As a second argument, you can pass in an array of data. This is very useful. We don't actually need it right now for this navigation, but I do want to show you this feature. Let's say that we needed to pass a username to our navigation. In that case, I can say cool user123. Doing this gives us a username variable that we can use inside our navigation. Let's jump back to navigation. And just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to add it here as a paragraph. We'll say username. Let's go back to my project and hit refresh. And there it is, cool user123. So that's just an easy way to pass data to a subview or a partial. Let's get rid of that line and go back to my layout. We don't actually need this, but just know that that is there as an option. Okay, what else do I want to tackle? Well, there's this title thing. So we hard-coded my first project, and every single page has the exact same title. But we know in real projects, you don't typically have the same title for every single page. So we need a way of intercepting that title and even having a default. So let's handle that now. Instead of hard-coding my first project, I'm going to yield a new section, and we're calling it title. Makes sense? So let me go back to my customers view, and up here, I'm going to add a new section for title, and we'll call it customer list and section. So if we go to our customer list now, we see that we have a title, and we can see it up here. But if we go to another page, like Contact Us, we don't have any title at all. And that's because we don't have a default. Let's add a default now. As a second argument to yield, we're going to give it a default. And we'll say Learning Laravel 5.8. That's going to be our default title unless a view overrides that title. Let's hit save. Go back to my contact page, refresh, and now we have Learning Laravel 5.8. Let's say that I want that to say Contact Us, in which case I'll go to the contact view and add a new section here. Contact Us and section. And there we go. We now have this. All right, another little round of refactor I want to do. When you add a section, this is the long form of adding a section. But another way that you can do it is you can cut this out, and as a second argument to this section directive, we can pass in Contact Us as a string. And if we hit refresh in our browser, we get the exact same thing. I do think a single line for something like a title is a much cleaner way of doing it. Let me go back to my customer and do the exact same thing. Cut, paste, and we can get rid of that. And let's make sure that our title matches customer list. Let's go back to customer list. There we go. So we have customer list and it reads customer list. We go to the about page. So we're defaulting the about us page because we have not assigned a new title. Let's do that now. Section for the title. About us. And finally, let's change the home page as well. We'll give that a title of welcome. So home says welcome, about us says about us, contact us, and customer list, we have customer list. On second thought, I'm going to delete the title off the home page. I'll just have the default be the title of the home page. There we go. So Learning Laravel is the default title, and that's all right. For the about us, we are overriding it. Same thing for contact and same thing for customer list. So our project is looking much better now. If you've been following along, go ahead and apply all of these refactors. Play around with the concepts of yielding sections for the title and for anything else that you can think of. And when you're ready, we'll move on to the next lesson.